All right, hello everyone. This video is for my critical thinking classes. We are now in week 7. I wanted to make a short video just to go over what we have coming up this week. We are almost to the end of the course, so let's make sure that we close out these last 2 weeks on a positive note. Let me share the screen real quick and we will take a look at what is coming. Share the screen. Here we go. All right, so last week we learned about arguments in the Toolman model. We also researched various viewpoints on controversial issues, figured out what each side of those controversies believes and why they believe that. This week we're learning about formal logic, deductive reasoning, and inductive reasoning. So we have the week 7 discussion on inductive arguments. Your first posts are due by Saturday the 21st, and you need to get your replies into your classmates by Tuesday the 24th. We also have the Smart Book chapter 7 and 8 due this Saturday, the 21st. Make sure you get those in on time. Finally, we have the deductive argument assignment on Tuesday, the 24th. So I want to spend just a little bit of time today talking about the inductive discussion and then the deductive assignment. We'll go over to week 7. Actually, let me get to the topic real quick. Okay, so the week 7 discussion asks you to consider these two casual inductive arguments. Every day of my life, the sun has risen in the morning. Tomorrow morning is another day. Therefore, the sun will probably rise. And every time I flick this switch, the living room light goes on. Therefore, the switch probably controls the living room light. A couple of things to note here. These arguments, you're asked to answer these questions. Do they seem obvious? Understanding the structure, do you rate them strong or weak? Can they be complicated? Does the wording matter? Etc. Right? And then to think of more inductive arguments that we use in our daily lives. Well, these arguments probably seem obvious, right? Every day of my life, the sun has risen. Tomorrow morning is another day. Therefore, the sun will probably rise. Both arguments are making claims about the future in some way, especially this first one. And so by their very nature, because they are making claims about the future, they cannot be thought of in terms of true or false. They can only be thought of in terms of strong or weak. Really, all inductive arguments work this way, where we can only think of them as whether or not they're strong arguments or weak arguments. So think about ways to complicate them. Think about if I'm essentially telling you they are really obvious, and yet there's a lot more going on behind the scenes of them. So try to think beyond just the initial, whatever your initial obvious response to them is. For example, in this first one, there seems to be some sort of contingency on the viewer of the sunrise. Every day of my life, the sun has risen in the morning. Tomorrow morning is another day, therefore the sun will probably rise. There's also sort of this question of how many times does an event have to occur before we come to rely on it occurring again, right? So how many sunrises do you have to see before you are confident that the sun will rise tomorrow? And the second one, similarly, like, what does it mean to control a light, to control light as a whole? Play with the wording a little bit, try to think deeper into these arguments. And then really focuses quite a bit on question 5 as well. I think I'm confident we base our entire lives, for the most part, on these sort of inductive arguments that our brains kind of make automatically about life. We make these sort of automatic inductive argument decisions that we treat them like they're true or false. We say things like, tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the eye doctor, as if it's a fact. But I'm making a claim about the future, and a million things could happen between now and tomorrow that stop me from getting up and going to the eye doctor. So just this seems really obvious and a little like dumb almost, but try to think deeper about it. Try to go a little deeper with this. Okay. Next, let's look at the assignments. Okay, so if you read through the lesson, you will learn about deductive arguments. And then this assignment has 3 parts. For the first part, all you need to do is come up with the logical conclusion. So if Celtic fans hate the Lakers and Nancy loves the Celtics, what does that mean conclusion-wise, right? Remember with these, the idea is that for deductive arguments, if the premises are true and logically related, we are looking for the conclusion that is necessitated by those premises. So in this case, Celtics fans hate the Lakers, Nancy loves the Celtics. So if all Celtics fans hate the Lakers and Nancy is a Celtics fan, our conclusion here has to be that Nancy hates the Lakers. Part two, you're going to come up with 4 arguments of your own. My advice is to keep it simple. Students seem to get lost with this assignment when they're making their own arguments and they just go too big, too grand with them. Keep them simple. Notice the samples here. They're not complex ones. I will highlight in part 1, students tend to, these two, the rainwater one and the Broadway one, students tend to just read them too quickly, I think, and sort of respond with what I don't think is an incorrect answer because they don't understand. I think it's an incorrect answer because they didn't double check or read carefully. So just make sure you read those 2 carefully. Part 3, you have to read these 4 arguments and decide if they are valid or invalid. So what that means is we were thinking of the form of the argument and whether or not, if the premises are true, does the conclusion have to be true? So just, again, the wording is challenging here. Go slow, especially number 3 and number 4 seem to confuse people. Or I'm sorry, this number 12, 2 and 4, 2, 3, and 4. The wording is a little weird. Remember, you're looking for if the premises are true, does the conclusion automatically, necessarily have to be true? So again, it's not the hardest assignment, but there's something about the fact that it's not the hardest assignment that seems to sometimes trip students up. So take your time, double check your work, double check that you read things correctly, that you aren't rearranging in your mind what the argument is saying. Okay, that's it for the week. If you have any questions about any of the assignments or the SmartBook stuff or the discussion, please let me know and I will be happy to help you guys out. We're almost to the end, so let's finish strong and make sure that we all put our best work on the table as we close out the class this week and next. Once again, if you have any questions, please let me know.